Good morning, everyone. This is ELT115, Section 1 on July the 7th, 2020, and this is the first part of our lesson for today. Today, in the first part, we're going to go back to the ED ending. We're going to remember that the ED ending can be t, d, or id, right, depending on the final sound of each one of the verbs. For example, t in as I walked to school, d as in I spelled my words, and id as my day ended well. Okay, so I'm going to play a video for you that is quite clear.
Okay, past tense regular verbs. So for regular verbs, the form is the same in the past simple and the past participle forms. Handy, right? The first thing that you need to know is that there are actually 3 different ways to pronounce the ed at the end of a past tense verb. 3. Id, d, and t. The good news is there are 3 simple rules to remember that will help you to pronounce these words correctly. Firstly, ed can be pronounced as id. So this is an unstressed vowel sound, and it creates an extra syllable, which is always unstressed. So the sound is short and it's low in pitch. And it's pronounced like this when the regular verb in its infinitive form ends in a T or a D sound. Need becomes needed. Last becomes lasted. Plead becomes pleaded. Accept becomes accepted. Waste becomes wasted. And wait becomes waited. Okay, so these ones are kind of simple. The extra unstressed vowel sound makes them quite easy to pronounce. Waited, needed. The other 2 ways to pronounce the past tense regular form don't include that vowel sound, which means that it doesn't create this extra syllable, and it does create a cluster of consonants at the end of the word. And as many of you know, a cluster of consonants, that's a group of consonants, can often be really quite difficult to pronounce. So let's take a closer look. When a verb in its infinitive form ends in a voiced consonant sound, we pronounce the ed at the end of the word as d. Not id, but d, 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 d. There's no vowel sound there, right? But what's a voiced consonant sound? I can hear you asking. Well, I've already got a lesson that explains this in more detail right here, but I'll give you the short version right now. These are the voiced consonant sounds. G as in good, L as in love, as in red, V as in vet, Z as in zoo, W as in well, N as in new, M as in mum, as in sing, the at the end, V as in this, J as in vision, and J as in jam. Right, so if the infinitive verb ends in one of these sounds, then the ed is pronounced as d. Allow, ending in the w voiced consonant sound, becomes allowed. Not allowed. No, this is a really, really common error. It's not allowed, but allowed. It's not sailed, but sailed. Waved, rained, rubbed, loved, gazed, judged. Okay, so a quick note on my Australian accent. In Australia, we don't pronounce the final R consonant sound when it follows a vowel sound. So this is the same for standard British English pronunciation. You can learn more about the differences in accents in this video here, where I talk about the differences between American and British English. But this difference in pronunciation, it doesn't affect the pronunciation rules for past tense regular verbs, because vowel sounds are also voiced sounds, just like the sound. So regardless of whether you pronounce the or not, the ed will be pronounced as a d sound, like feared and feared. That's again my excellent American accent. But this also means that if a regular verb ends in a vowel sound, like spy, for example, then the ed is pronounced as a d as well. Spied, not spied. Okay, rule number 3. When a verb in its infinitive form ends in an unvoiced consonant sound, we pronounce the ed as a t. So not id, not d, but t, 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 t. So that is an unvoiced sound. So again, there is no vowel sound. It's a single consonant sound that is added to the end of the infinitive verb form. So some of the unvoiced consonant sounds are the p in tape, s in face, ch in watch, sh in wash, f in laugh. Now this can be a little tricky when the verb form already has a cluster of consonants at the end, like the sk in ask or the x in relax. So ask becomes asked. Relax becomes relaxed. So these are a little tricky because they have a crazy group of consonants at the end that you've got to try and get your tongue around. Okay, a quick review before we practice. If the verb in the infinitive form ends in the sound t or d, it's pronounced id. If the verb in the infinitive form ends in a voiced sound, then the ed is pronounced as d. And if the verb in its infinitive form ends in an unvoiced sound, then we pronounce the ed as a t sound. If you want to improve your pronunciation and sound more like a native English speaker, then you really need to work on pronouncing these past tense verbs correctly. They're so simple and so common. Wanted, needed, id. Loved, sailed, d. Asked, laughed, t. Okay, so before we finish, let's practice with a few sentences because it's easy to practice these words when they're on their own, right? It's much more of a challenge when spoken quickly in a sentence, right? Have you noticed the verbs here? And have you been thinking about the correct way to pronounce them? Hated, wasted, starved. She hated to see good food wasted while others starved. She hated to see good food wasted while others starved. What verbs can you see there? Waited, sailed, laughed, realized, escaped. He waited until the ship sailed away and then laughed when he realized he had escaped. He waited until the ship sailed away and then laughed when he realized he had escaped. Last one. Misjudged, seemed, phoned. I think I misjudged his character. He seemed pleasant and professional when I phoned him yesterday. I think I misjudged his character. He seemed pleasant and professional when I phoned him yesterday. Well, that's it for this lesson, I'm afraid. I hope that you've learned a couple of new pronunciation tips and that you are feeling more confident and sounding more natural when you're using English.
All right, that was some exercises for you to read. Please pause this video and read the sentences on your own. All right, assuming you already read the sentences aloud, I'm going to read them with you, right? I laughed at the joke. Work is finished. The snake killed the mouse. The teacher helped the student. When I was younger, I wanted to walk on the moon. We hiked to the top of the mountain. James rented his apartment. We can't go swimming because the pool is covered. That old house is haunted. We hunted for her keys but could not find them. If you're asking the difference between this word and this one, this is haunted and this one is hunted. Haunted, hunted. Okay, now let's take a look at the second exercise. Pause the video and read this passage on your own, and then we're going to go over it together. All right, assume that you have already gone through the paragraph on your own. Let's take a look at it together, all right? So it says, the bear jumped out of its cage and into the crowd. She must have realized that this was her best chance to escape. The bear's trainer looked as though he were about to faint from the terror of it all. It seemed like its worst nightmare come true. He scrambled to his feet and started waving his hands and shouting to get the bear's attention. She stopped her wild rampage only for a moment at the sound of her trainer's pleas. She quickly turned back to the crowd and resumed knocking people to the floor. The trainer suddenly had an idea. He reached into his pocket and pulled from it a large chocolate-covered treat, a known favorite of the bear. He shouted the bear's name once more, and she turned to face him. She saw the treat and ran in full gallop towards him. He threw the treat into the cage, and the bear followed. He locked the door behind her and fell to the floor in relief. Apparently, the bear valued food more than freedom. So in this exercise, we have some regular verbs which have a voiceless t, a voiced d, and extra syllable id. We have jumped, realized, looked, seemed, scrambled, started, stopped, turned, resumed, reached, pulled, covered, shouted, turned, locked, followed, valued. As you can see, some of them have a voiceless t, others have a voiced d, and others have an extra syllable. Allow me to share with you a website. We're going to listen to this website, and I'm going to get some practice, okay? Okay, here it is. So actually, I'm going to share with you this file, okay? So as you can see here, this is a formative listening quiz, okay? And the idea is that you first listen to the video, the recording. I'm going to share with you the video again. So first listen to this. I'm going to copy and paste the link in the chat room, just in case there is a problem here with the internet connection. Okay, here we go with the dialogue. Listen to the dialogue, please. Let me make sure that I'm sharing the sound, because you never know.
I started the day early, What did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was my day off. I started the day early and finished up a lot of house chores before work. I cleaned the kitchen, mowed the lawn, mailed some letters, emptied the trash, and washed my clothes. I even dusted the furniture.
Wow. What did you do after that?
After that, I walked to work because I needed to do some things for my job. I didn't take the bus because it looked full. I enjoyed the walk, though, as I strolled through the park to my office.
Wait, did you work? It was your day off.
Yes, I know. I did work. I worked for about 3 hours. I checked some emails and finished a paper I needed to send to a customer.
Did you work long?
No, after that, I walked to my local gym. I exercised for about 1 hour. I lifted weights and walked on the treadmill for some time. Then I showered and headed home.
What did you do last night?
At home, I cooked dinner and chatted with my roommate. After eating, I cleaned up the kitchen. I wanted to watch a movie, but it was too late, so I decided not to. All in all, it was a good day.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play again the recording, but this time I'm going to show you a Word file which contains the listening quiz. Now, the idea is that you listen to the dialect and then you focus on the initial sound for each one of the missing words, okay? The idea is that you are able to identify the initial sound of the words, right? And that you're able to transcribe that particular initial sound with a phonetic symbol. So I'm going to start sharing again, this time the word file. Let me try again. Unfortunately, it's not easy to know whether you're seeing this or not. But anyway, I'm going to be playing the recording for you to focus on the initial sound of these particular missing words, all right?
What did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was my day off. I started the day early and finished up a lot of house chores before work. I cleaned the kitchen, mowed the lawn, mailed some letters, emptied the trash, and washed my clothes. I even dusted the furniture.
Wow. What did you do after that?
After that, I walked to work because I needed to do some things for my job. I didn't take the bus because it looked full. I enjoyed the walk, though, as I strolled through the park to my office.
Wait, did you work? It was your day off.
Yes, I know. I did work. I worked for about 3 hours. I checked some emails and finished a paper I needed to send to a customer.
Did you work long?
No, after that, I walked to my local gym. I exercised for about 1 hour. I lifted weights and walked on the treadmill for some time. Then I showered and headed home.
What did you do last night?
At home, I cooked dinner and chatted with my roommate. After eating, I cleaned up the kitchen. I wanted to watch a movie, but it was too late, so I decided not to. All in all, it was a good day.
What did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was my day off. I started the day early and finished up a lot of house chores before work. I cleaned the kitchen, mowed the lawn, mailed some letters, emptied the trash, and washed my clothes. I even dusted the furniture.
Wow. What did you do after that?
After that, I walked to work because I needed to do some things for my job. I didn't take the bus because it looked full. I enjoyed the walk, though, as I strolled through the park to my office.
Wait, did you work? It was your day off.
Yes, I know. I did work. I worked for about 3 hours. I checked some emails and finished a paper I needed to send to a customer.
Did you work long?
No, after that, I walked to my local gym. I exercised for about 1 hour. I lifted weights and walked on the treadmill for some time. Then I showered and headed home.
What did you do last night?
At home, I cooked dinner and chatted with my roommate. After eating, I cleaned up the kitchen. I wanted to watch a movie, but it was too late, so I decided not to. All in all, it was a good day.
What did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was my day off. I started the day early and finished up a lot of house chores before work. I cleaned the kitchen, mowed the lawn, mailed some letters, emptied the trash, and washed my clothes. I even dusted the furniture.
Wow. What did you do after that?
After that, I walked to work because I needed to do some things for my job. I didn't take the bus because it looked full. I enjoyed the walk, though, as I strolled through the park to my office.
Wait, did you work? It was your day off.
Yes, I know. I did work. I worked for about 3 hours. I checked some emails and finished a paper I needed to send to a customer.
Did you work long?
No, after that, I walked to my local gym. I exercised for about 1 hour. I lifted weights and walked on the treadmill for some time. Then I showered and headed home.
What did you do last night?
At home, I cooked dinner and chatted with my roommate. After eating, I cleaned up the kitchen. I wanted to watch a movie, but it was too late, so I decided not to. All in all, it was a good day.
All right, so let's go back to the formative quiz. So I understand that the words you um, were able to hear were started um, chores, mailed, clothes, looked, strolled, worked, finished, lifted, treadmill, showered, chatted, and late. Right? So the phonetic symbols representing those sounds are or should be the following: s, ch, m, k, l, s, w, f, l, t, sh, ch, l. And if we have to describe them, well, I would love to hear it from you, but then I'm going to type the description here next to each word, right? Remember, we're describing the initial consonant sound for each one of the words, right? Let's start with the place, then continue with the manner, and then the voicing, right? So the first one is alveolar. It's a fricative sound, and it's voiceless. Ch is an affricate sound. We can say it's post-alveolar or palatal, more specific. and it's a voiceless sound, no vibration of the vocal folds present, right? Next one is a bilabial sound. It's nasal and voiced. The following, k, as in close, is a velar sound. It's a plosive sound and it's voiceless. The next one, l, in looked, is an alveolar sound, is liquid and it's voiced. The s in strolled was already described at the beginning when we described started. The initial sound in worked, we have a labiovelar sound. It's a glide or semi-vowel, and it's a voiced sound, right? Then we have f in finished, which is a labiodental sound. It's fricative and voiceless. In the word lifted, the initial sound was already covered in the verb looked, right? Then we have treadmill. The initial sound is an alveolar consonant sound. It's plosive and voiceless. In the following word, showered, we have a post-alveolar consonant sound. Some authors call it palatal as well. It's a fricative sound and it's voiceless. In the next one, we have the verb chatted, which was already described in the second word when we described chores, right? And finally, the verb, the word late was already described when we described looked. All right, so that was the description of the initial consonant sounds for each one of these particular words. So for now, we're going to finish this first part. And in the second part, we're going to be working with a different ending. All right, so long. Goodbye for now.